Have you ever felt out of sync with your own life? Like your morning when everyone around you seems to be celebrating? Or laughing when the world feels heavy? Or holding on tightly to something that seems to be asking you to let go? Have you ever wondered why some chapters of life feel endless, those seasons of waiting, of grief, of confusion, while others pass so quickly you barely have time to savor them? There's a quiet ache that comes with being human, the ache of living inside time. Of not knowing how long a season will last. Of wanting spring while still standing in the depths of winter. If you've ever felt this tension, this strange dance between holding on and releasing, between action and stillness, then you're in good company. Because roughly 3,000 years ago, a wise teacher sat down and wrote about this very experience. Today, we're going to spend some time with one of the most honest, most human, and most strangely comforting chapters in all of Scripture, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is the famous passage about a time for everything. You may have heard it quoted at weddings or funerals. You may have heard it set to music. But today, I want us to go deeper, past the familiarity, and really sit with what this ancient teacher was trying to say. So settle in wherever you are. Take a slow breath. There's no hurry here. Let's begin. I'm going to read through the first 15 verses of Ecclesiastes 3. These are the heart of the chapter. I invite you to simply receive the words, not to analyze them yet, just to let them wash over you. Verse 1. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. Verses 2 through 8. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. Verses 9 through 11. What gain has the worker from his toil? I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, He has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. Verses 12 through 15. I perceived that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live, also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift. I perceive that whatever God does endures forever, nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done it, so that people fear before Him. That which is, already has been, that which is to be, already has been, and God seeks what has been driven away. These are ancient words. And yet don't they feel strangely immediate? Strangely personal? Let's take our time now and explore what they mean. At its core, Ecclesiastes 3 is making a profound observation about the nature of human existence. Life moves in seasons, and we do not control which season we're in. The famous poem in verses 1 through 8 presents 14 pairs of opposites, 28 different experiences that cover the full spectrum of human life. Birth and death. Planting and uprooting. Weeping and laughing. War and peace. Notice something important. The teacher doesn't rank these experiences. He doesn't say weeping is bad and laughing is good. He doesn't say peace is right and war is wrong. He simply says there is a time for each. This is not moral relativism. It's an acknowledgement of reality. Life contains all of these things. The full human experience includes moments we would never choose and moments we desperately wish would last forever. The Hebrew word for time here is et, and it doesn't just mean a moment on the clock. It means a season, an appropriate moment, an appointed time. It suggests that there's a certain rightness to each season, even when that season is painful. Now, the teacher doesn't stop at the poem. In verses 9 through 11, he asks a haunting question: what gain has the worker from his toil? In other words, if life is just this endless cycle of opposites, one season replacing another, what's the point of all our effort? And then comes one of the most beautiful and mysterious verses in all of Scripture. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. Let that sink in. God has made everything beautiful in its time. Even the difficult seasons, even the confusing ones, have a beauty we may not see while we're inside them. And yet, God has also placed eternity in our hearts. There's something in us that longs for the permanent, the lasting, the forever. We feel the pull toward meaning that transcends our brief lives. But we cannot see the whole picture. We are creatures living inside time, with eternity whispering in our chests. We know there's more than what we can see, but we cannot grasp it fully. This is the human condition. And the teacher says, this is not a flaw. This is how we were made. So what does he conclude? Verses 12 through 14 offer a gentle response: enjoy the gifts you've been given. Find joy where it's available. Eat, drink, find meaning in your work. These are not distractions from real life, they are God's gifts to you. And whatever God does endures forever. We cannot add to it. We cannot take from it. There's a permanence to the divine that we can rest in, even as our own seasons shift and change. Now let's step back and understand where this chapter comes from. The book of Ecclesiastes is part of the wisdom literature tradition in the Hebrew Bible alongside Proverbs, Job, and certain Psalms. These books wrestle with the big questions of existence. What is the meaning of life? Why do the righteous suffer? How should we live in a world we cannot fully understand? The author identifies himself as Koheleth, a Hebrew word often translated as the teacher or the preacher. Traditionally, this figure has been associated with King Solomon, the son of David, known for his great wisdom and wealth. Whether or not Solomon literally wrote these words, the voice of Ecclesiastes is that of someone who has seen everything life has to offer: pleasure, power, accomplishment, and is now reflecting honestly on what it all means. And here's what makes Ecclesiastes so unusual: it doesn't offer easy answers. It doesn't promise that if you follow the right formula, everything will work out. Instead, it sits with mystery. It acknowledges the limits of human understanding. It makes space for doubt, for questioning, for the kind of raw honesty that many religious texts avoid. This is part of what makes Ecclesiastes so trustworthy. The teacher isn't trying to sell you anything. He's just telling you what he's observed and inviting you to sit with him in the complexity. The phrase in verse 11, eternity in their hearts, is particularly rich. The Hebrew word is olam, which can mean everlasting, ancient, or hidden. Some scholars translate it as a sense of past and future or an awareness of the ages. It's that feeling you've had, perhaps, when you look at the stars and feel both infinitely small and strangely connected to something vast. It's the ache you feel when you realize that this moment, this person, this season will not last forever, and you wish it could. That ache is not a mistake. It's olam. It's the eternal pressed into your finite heart. The teacher also references cycles in verse 15, that which is, already has been, that which is to be, already has been. This isn't fatalism. It's a reminder that we are part of a story much larger than ourselves. The seasons we experience, birth, death, joy, grief, are seasons that humans have walked through for millennia. We are not alone in our experiences. We are held within a pattern that stretches back to the beginning and forward beyond our sight. So how do we carry these ancient words into our modern lives? First, Ecclesiastes 3 gives us permission to stop fighting our current season. So many of us exhaust ourselves resisting where we are. We're in a season of waiting, and we demand arrival. We're in a season of grief, and we pressure ourselves to move on. We're in a season of slowness, and we feel like we're falling behind. But the teacher says, there is a time for this. Whatever this is for you right now, it belongs. It has a place in the rhythm of your life. This doesn't mean you stop working toward change. It doesn't mean you accept injustice or harm. But it does mean you stop shaming yourself for being in a difficult season. The season itself is not your failure. Second, this chapter invites us to embrace both holding on and letting go. Notice the pairs, a time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Life asks different things from us at different times. Sometimes love looks like holding tightly. And sometimes love looks like releasing. Sometimes wisdom means speaking up. And sometimes wisdom means keeping silent. The art of living is learning to discern which time it is and then having the courage to respond accordingly. Third, Ecclesiastes 3 offers a strange comfort about our limited perspective. You cannot see the whole picture. You cannot know how this season will serve the larger story. You are inside the tapestry, unable to step back and see the full design. And that's okay. The teacher says God has made everything beautiful in its time. The beauty may not be visible to you yet. The meaning may still be hidden. But that doesn't mean it's absent. This is an invitation to trust, not blind trust that ignores pain, but open trust that holds space for mystery. Finally, the passage reminds us to receive the simple gifts. Eat, drink. Find meaning in your work. Enjoy the people in front of you. These ordinary moments are not lesser than the spiritual moments. They are themselves sacred. So often we postpone joy, waiting for conditions to be perfect. But the teacher says, joy is available now, even amid uncertainty. Especially amid uncertainty. The ability to receive pleasure from a good meal, a kind conversation, a task completed, this is not shallow. This is wisdom. This is recognizing the gift while it's in your hands. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a few thoughts to carry gently. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are exactly where you are, and that place has a name, even if you don't know it yet. The season you're in will not last forever. Neither will the next one. This is both the sorrow and the mercy of being human. You have eternity in your heart, that longing for something more, something permanent, something that makes sense of all the fragments. That longing is not a weakness. It's a compass. It points toward a wholeness you cannot yet see but are already part of. And in the meantime, you are invited to live. To eat and drink and find joy in your work. To embrace when it's time to embrace. To release when it's time to release. To trust that the one who holds the beginning and the end is also holding this moment, holding you. The teacher looked at the full span of human experience all 28 times, all the opposites, all the seasons, and he didn't despair. He didn't pretend. He simply said, this is what it is to be human. And within this, there is beauty. There is gift. There is God. May you find the grace to stop fighting your current season. May you sense, even faintly, the eternity pressed into your heart. And may you receive, with open hands, whatever gifts this day brings, knowing they will not last forever, and therefore, they are precious. Thank you for being here. Thank you for slowing down. I hope these ancient words have become a little more personal to you today. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. And trust the timing you cannot see. If you found this meaningful, you don't have to walk this journey alone. By subscribing, you'll receive regular reflections designed to help you slow down, realign, and live with intention in a noisy world. Subscribe today and let's continue this conversation one thoughtful step at a time.